Hi, I'm Chuck Dorset for Weaver Leather Supply. By chance, do we know a chef or even a knife maker that needs a good strop? Well, we're going to take care of them. All right, so anything I use in this video, weaverleathersupply.com or check below. We've got links there, going to take you straight to the website. Also, if you want to know when our videos release, just click your notifications. You'll know exactly when these come out. So let's step over to our pattern table, get started. There's a number of tools in my shop that I'd like to strop on a flat surface, but when we jump over to a fixed blade or a folding blade, I'd like to go the way the old school barbers did. Those folks knew how to put a blade on a knife. It was their job. So what we're going to do, let's add a clip down on one end, a stainless clip, and we'll talk about that. On the other end, we're going to roll our leather. That's going to make a very comfortable handle. Now in the kitchen, we need one less thing on a countertop. This can hang just about anywhere out of our way, but it's there ready when we need it. It's a simple, very useful project. All right, so let's jump over to a digital pick. Length here, 24 inches or about 61 centimeters, 2.5 wide. On one end, we're going to add a taper. Super easy to do. We'll look at that. And on the other end, we're just going to add 4 holes for Chicago screws, 3/8 of an inch in, and 3.5 inch spread. So a relatively simple pattern. Nice. Well, let's step over to our main table. Let's cut some leather. We're going with a single shoulder, 8 to 9 ounce. Now, I use these in most videos, so I'm not going to go into great detail, but the 3 big points for us crafters, it's a good quality piece of leather, it's affordable, but the best part, it's a smaller cut. So if we're working in a smaller area, it's not going to be difficult to work with. So starting right here, save us a little time, I've dropped in a straight edge. So we need 2.5 by 24 inches. Now right here, this is the best cost per use tool in our shop, our wooden strap cutter. I'm going to set this 2.5 inches. Now I'm going to tighten that and give it just a little extra tight there, just so by chance I'm going through a thicker piece of leather, our cut will be parallel to our edge. Okay, 2.5 inches wide. And how easy is that? No kidding, it's a great tool. In fact, these are very durable, oddly enough. I think my last one lasted 12 years. Okay, let's cut the size. So we're going to need 24 inches here. We've got that. Okay, next step. There we go. Okay, next step, we're going to mark for our taper. So let's take our pattern, drop this down. Right here, right at the top of our taper, I'm going to make 2 marks. Okay, good. Now, on our strap cutter, let's come back to 3/4 of an inch. That's going to bring us down to a 1 inch tongue on that. Okay, let's come down to our mark on both sides. And right there, now it sounds like I could use a new blade in that, but actually the blades are inexpensive, very sharp, and super easy to replace. Okay, let's step over to our punch table. We're going to punch our taper. Now we can absolutely cut these if we don't have this tool, but let's go with a 1.5 inch English point, very standard size, perfect for our belts. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to lay the very tip right into the end of that slit, and I'm going to put the point right up top. How easy is that? Let's do the same thing over here. Good, there we are. Okay, next up, again, we don't have to go this route, but let's add a 1 inch round end punch. That's going to be a nice touch. Good, there we are. Okay, next up, we need to mark for our holes. So down here, this is going to be a rivet hole, and then down on this end, we're going to have screw holes. We'll use a Chicago screw. Okay, so back to our tapered end. Down here, we're going to add a rivet. We'll close this with a rivet. So I want to jump down to a smaller tube. I want that rivet a little bit snug in that hole. That's going to give us our best bite and our best durability. We've got that. Okay, on our other end, we're going to go with Chicago screws as a closure. Now, we can certainly use the largest tube on our revolving punch, but typically they're not large enough. We'll get that screw through there. Where I'm going with this, let's go over to a 3/16 inch round hole. Now let's sink that in, do our best to hit our marks right on the nose. And we've got that. Okay, back to our main table. At this point, we could drop in a clip, a rivet, and a couple of screws, and we're done with our strop. But I hate for a project to leave my shop where I've done nothing at all to our edges. So let's add a nice detail. We're going to go with a groove line, we're going to edge, and then we're going to slick. So let's start with our groover. I like to set mine at 1/8 of an inch. Primary job here is to groove a border, a parallel line down the edge of our leather if we're going to hand sew. So I want to set it and leave it because if I'm going to marry two pieces together without even trying, those edges will meet perfectly. So let's set it, mark it, and we're going to leave it there. Now on our strop here, I'm going to go all the way around. We're not really going to worry about this end. And there we go, that already looks better. So now let's go with a number 2 edger. This is perfect for our 8 to 9 ounce. And I'm going to go all the way around the same line on the front and the back side. And the flesh side never edges as easy as the top grain. Well, good, we've got that. All right, I'm going to reset. Let's slick our edge. We're going to go with just straight water. Now to apply this, I love our dressing sponges, but I tend to cut these down, make them go a little bit further. So let's get some good water in our sponge. And there we are. Now our tendency is to lay this on its side and wet our edge. But if we have water drip across this and we're going to use a stain, we might see that. So how about we do this? Let's lay it on our edge. Good, and let's just apply water like that. And we've got a good water content on that. Now our slickers, we've got two. Love the nylon, but love the exotic wood too. That's a pretty tool to have in our shop. But let's go with our nylon right there. The top groove, let's just slick. Now, the big point here is not pressure, heat and friction. So let's work this around. And typically I will make 2 passes around and back. Now, I just really can't tell if the camera's going to be able to pick up that slick, but it's glossed, feels good. That's what we're looking for. All right, one more point though. I did mention that we don't want to press too hard. What can happen is we can develop a lip along the edge of our leather. We want to avoid that. Okay, let's step over to our punch table, knock this together. Since our primary objective here is a kitchen, let's go with a stainless steel clip. Now technically, and this is hard to say, this is a square scissor snap, 1 inch, and again, stainless steel. So let's slide this on. Now we're going to go with a medium. Technically, I call these a medium, but it's the 5/16 inch double cap. That's good for 2 8 to 9s. We're going to go with the antique nickel because actually that's a pretty good match. So let's bring this through. Let's find our rivet. Good. Now let's slide this off the edge of our marble there because that's going to give us a better set. We let that loop hang off the edge. So let's drop in a cap and let's set this. Very good. Now on this end, we're going to go with a 1/4 inch Chicago screw, basically just a threaded rivet. But again, let's go with the antique nickel. Now with these, I've got an argument with myself because I want to just use a dab of white glue in case we ever have to replace these. But in this situation, I don't see that happening, so we could certainly go with a stronger glue. I just don't want to weld those in case I have to take them out. So let's start right here. Let's add a little glue. Good, just into the throat of these. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's come through from the top, but let's be careful. Let's don't get glue on our top grain. Yeah, there we go. Let's make sure we get that off of our fingers. And there we are. Okay. Let's flip this over. Now let's bring this back. Good. Now let's drop in the male piece. Great thing about the weaver screws, in fact, I keep seeing a piece of glue there, making me crazy. We've got an Allen wrench with this. So if we can get that to set or bite, then that just screws right in. And I tell you what, with that Allen wrench, we can really crank down on those Chicago screws. That's a nice touch. So let's move that out of the way. I'm just scared to death of getting glue on this. But right there, we've got a nice strop. That's actually comfortable in my hand. We can hang that just about anywhere. That is a simple yet fun, useful project. Nicely done. A fun, simple project? Well, that is always welcome in my shop. So for our chef or knife maker, blacksmith, or just about anybody with a shop, we've got a great gift idea here. We're going to love making it. We're going to love giving it to them. They're going to appreciate it and love using it. That's the best part of leathercraft. Good luck with your projects.